This, my friends, is the Soto Windmaster Stove. This is a $70 stove that performs extremely well. This is a very well designed product, a product that has some very unique features, such as this. You can see here that we have the pot supports. Watch this. You can take those off and replace those with an ultralight option. Now, in this episode, we're not focusing much on this stove and this option. I have reviewed this product, so if you want more information about this, you can check out the review. Again, this is the Soto Windmaster. So again, this is a $70 stove. Recently, it came to my attention from a viewer named Pete. Thank you very much, Pete. He let me know that there is a knockoff version of this stove. And guess what? It doesn't cost $70. Inside of this case is the Campingmoon Frex-MicroMax XD-2F Stove. That is a mouthful right there. But folks, this is a knockoff stove of the Windmaster. That is what this episode is all about. So folks, let's get to it. My name is Luke. This is the Outrigger Review. Let's go. I tell you what, everybody, before we really get started with this episode, I want to say thank you again to Pete. Pete is someone who goes out and he finds the weirdest stoves and sometimes the weirdest tents. I really do appreciate you sharing all of these oddities with me, and I know the community does as well. If you decide to purchase the knockoff Campingmoon stove, this is what you're going to receive. First off, you get a canvas storage bag that's actually quite good. It's very simple, but at the same time, it does offer quite a bit of protection to the stove itself. You have a single zip and a zipper pull. Then it opens up just like this, and you have the stove. In this sleeve here, you have the pot supports. The Campingmoon stove is almost identical to the Windmaster. There are some subtle differences, and some of the measurements are just a little bit different, but for the most part, these are the same stoves. We have the burner head here with a partial windscreen around it. We have the adjuster, and we have the igniter. In the center here, we have a regulator. With the pot supports, they flip out just as the Windmaster does, and at the same time, it opens up and connects to the stove the exact same way as the Windmaster. Spring-loaded, attaches very easily, and once it's on there, it is secure. With the two stoves here side by side, you can see for the most part they are identical. There have been some minor changes though. For an example, the Campingmoon stove is not quite as tall as the Windmaster. They both have adjusters, they both have igniters, but with these stoves, the igniters are in different places. With the Windmaster, the igniter's next to the adjuster, but with the Campingmoon stove, the igniter is on the other side of the adjuster. Both stoves have regulators, which are important. Outside of those differences, these stoves are very, very similar. I'll tell you what, let's do a quick boil test. Let's see how fast this stove is.
Good grief.
Wow, everybody. This stove boiled 2 cups of water so fast that I couldn't even stay on top of it with filming. What I have here on the clock is 1 minute 47 seconds. Honestly, I believe it took less than 1 minute and 30 seconds. It was that fast. I am incredibly impressed with the performance of this stove. To put this boil time into some sort of context to really realize just how fast this is, or was, recently I tested out the Fire Maple X2 stove with 2 cups of water. With the pot integrated into the stove itself, it took almost 5 minutes to boil. This stove was able to do it in less than 1.5 minutes, which is incredibly impressive. As you all can tell, I am a little bit shocked by just how fast this stove is. While I absorb what just took place there, let's go over some stats real quick. While going over the stats of this stove, I will be comparing it to the Soto. First off, when it comes to the BTUs, the Campingmoon stove is 11,260, with the Soto stove 11,000. The Soto stove can only run on IsoButane, but this stove here from Campingmoon is different. It can run on just about anything. As long long as you have an adapter, you can run this on butane or propane, and of course, IsoButane. On one 8-ounce IsoButane canister that's full, on high, this stove can run for 1.4 hours. With the Soto stove, it will run for 1.5 hours. The weight of the Campingmoon stove without the pot supports is 2.4 ounces. With the pot supports, 3.5 ounces. The weight of the stove, the pot supports, and the case is 5.6 ounces. The weight of the Campingmoon stove is lighter than the Soto. Again, the Campingmoon stove by itself, 2.4 ounces. The Soto stove, 3 ounces. Considering the fact that the Soto stove is just a little bit taller than the Campingmoon stove, the weight difference is justified. It makes sense, in other words. When the stove is stored, you're looking at 4.5 inches by 3 inches, and that's for the case. When the stove is set up, at the widest point it is 6.1 inches wide, and that's from the adjuster to the furthest pot support. It stands 3.5 inches from the gas canister. With the Soto stove, the measurements are pretty much identical, with the exception that the Soto stove is just a little bit taller. For the most part, the materials are the same between both stoves. Stainless steel, we have some bronze, and so on. There is a difference, though, between the storage bags and cases. With the Soto stove, it comes with a storage bag that absolutely sucks. I continue to use it, but I can tell you all, it's not that good. In fact, the pot supports have begun tearing this thing apart. With the Campingmoon stove, you have the storage case, and it is much better quality, which is pretty funny considering the price of this stove. Whereas with the Soto stove, it's a great performer, but the storage bag sucks. And that stove costs $70. With the Campingmoon stove and the Soto stove, you can purchase those on Amazon. With the Campingmoon stove, you can also purchase it on AliExpress. On Amazon, it is $32. And again, with the Windmaster, that's $70. I'll tell you what, folks, we should go over my impressions of this stove now, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. This is a preview of this stove, and I have to say, I am incredibly impressed. The power of this stove is incredible. I tried my best to film that, but I mean, as soon as I started, it was over. It was done. The water was boiling. The quality is excellent. There's no issues here. Everything about this is designed well, functions well. Oftentimes, when it comes to inexpensive copycats, the quality tends to be rather poor, but that's simply not the case here. This is very well done. And I tell you what, it really does show you what you can get for the money. That point right there blows my mind. So yes, the quality is very good, the materials are good. While slightly different than the Soto, it is pretty much identical, so the overall functions and features of this stove are the same. In other words, the design of this stove is excellent. While not the lightest stove on the market today, it is incredibly lightweight, ultralight for sure. This is a small stove, it doesn't take up much space inside of your backpack, the form factor is excellent, the storage case is excellent, far better than the Soto bag. The stove is very stable, as you all saw. Also, there is a regulator here, and that is important. Just in case you don't know, a regulator helps in two ways. It helps in cold conditions, and it also helps when your fuel canister is running low. In other words, it provides a constant level of performance. Without a regulator, you'll have ups and downs depending on how much fuel you have left, how cold it is outside, and so on. The only con that I have for this stove is the adjuster. It's a little bit loose. My personal taste is for an adjuster to have a little bit of tension to it so I can make micro adjustments. In this case, it's very loose. Again, I wish there was just a little bit of resistance there. In the end, this is no big deal. I totally did not expect to be so impressed by this little stove, but I am. This is very, very impressive, especially for the money. Even at $32, this is a very impressive stove. From this point forward, I will be testing out this stove, and you will see it in plenty of adventures coming up. In the future, you will find my review. For this episode, I am done. That is a first look at the Campingmoon XD-2F Frex. I need to look at my notes here. They call this the Frex-MicroMax. That's pretty funny, everybody. They call this the Frex, whereas Soto calls this the Flex. Frex Flex. Too funny. All right, folks, make sure to comment down below, share your thoughts. What do you all think about this stove? Pete, my friend, thank you so much for telling me about this. I do appreciate it. Before you go, everybody, hit the thumbs up. It helps a lot. Everybody, take care, be well, strength and honor. I will see you all around again soon. Bye for now.